Time is of the essence. Release the hounds and distribute the weapons. We bout to get this black party rocking in a second. Let's go. Remind you of an Esco. Golden bars presto. East to west coast, my soul echoes. Bounce straight over the glass, straight into a vessel. They like, yo, Tro. You think they just a special for sure? Fuckers, you thinking I'm doing this for? Look, I'm putting it to the mouth. Plus, I'm a slaughterhouse, so you know exactly what this boy's really all about. Yeah, bring 'em out.
Hello again, boys and girls. Children of all ages and adults.
Ladies
too.
and gentlemen.
It's another episode 3 of I'm Just Playin, of course, alongside the High Priest of the Sistine Chapel.
Hello.
Hello, Sid. I am Cardinal Joseph. I guess we're just going to roll with that. I guess we're just going to deal with that.
I think I'm gonna lay down the law right now. Mm-hmm. We are not going to talk about No Man's Sky.
No, we aren't.
And I think it's from now on no more No Man's Sky discussion.
Listen, we have done it to death. I mean, 2 episodes to dedicate to such a what will definitely be the event of the year, regardless whether you hated it or not. It has generated so much discussion about all things, both related to NMS and unrelated to NMS as well, just the industry writ large. I think we've done it. We've done it to death. We don't need to go over it ever again. So if you love it,
talking about that again.
Yep. If you love it like me or you hate it like Sid, you've chosen a side, and that's the end of it. So that's it. So we're going to move on into completely brand new territory. Some might say uncharted territory. We'll get and there's your gaming pun for the week. I'll be here all week, kids. So yeah, I mean, you already know how it runs. We didn't do all the segments last week, so we're going to make sure that we do all the segments this week. Yeah. And we should probably just get straight into it. So you know what, Sid, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, so I've had a few problems this week. A few, to say the least. All right.
Tiny bit.
So my internet went down, and it's currently still down. I'm currently using a mobile Wi-Fi, which for some reason I've been paying like £60 a month for the last like year and a half.
Wow.
And barely using it. But now it has its use.
It's been justified.
Go figure.
There we are.
Well, not really. That's not true. It's not been justified.
Probably not. Okay, maybe I was reaching there, but still.
Yeah, and then my phone exploded. So
yes.
Having no internet and no phone and traveling in and out of London every day, not fun.
Super difficult.
And then on top of that, I cleared out my NAS the weekend before. Yeah. Reinstalled some new drives, moved everything back on, and I uninstalled a whole bunch of games on my hard drives.
Excellent.
So I have very few games installed, just in time for my blackout. But what I did play, I've actually played 5 very interesting games.
Go on then.
Briefly, RimWorld. I only played the tutorial. Mm-hmm. It's basically the new Prison Architect. I mean, in terms of art style, and I don't know, is it the same people who are developing it?
I would need to look that up. So while you're talking about
it's fun. It's a bit complex for me at the moment. I'm kind of waiting for them to like continue building on it because, well, you know, early access is early access. But you know, from what's there so far, it looks pretty good. There's still sort of a lot of work to do, and I think I'll wait a bit before I continue playing further. Right. Then I played some Turmoil, which is an indie game, obviously, which is where you're an oil tycoon in the good old West, and you mine. Is it mine? Do you mine for oil? No, you dig for oil. That's what you do. You dig for oil. It got boring after about an hour and a bit because it's the same thing again and again. Yeah. It's kind of like a reveal the puzzle, reveal the image kind of puzzle. So that. And then I played Reigns. Have you heard of Reigns?
So vaguely. I'm hoping you've done a bit of reconnaissance, so I know whether or not to buy the game.
So yeah, Reigns is a Tinder game. Kind of. So basically, you are a king, right? You're a king of a kingdom, and it's kind of like a roguelike in that you are constantly dying because you have to balance religion, money, the people and your army. And if anything becomes too good or too bad, they will come and fucking kill you. So if there's too much money going on in your kingdom, you will choke to death on your big feast. If there's too much religion going on, they'll just massacre you and proclaim you a martyr. If there's not enough religion, they will kill you as a heretic. If there is not enough money, the bourgeoisie will come and just take over and fucking kill you. And it just goes on. And so the aim of the game is just to make the right decision, which is a yes or no kind of thing. You swipe left and you swipe right. I'm playing on the PC, apparently it's on mobile as well.
Okay.
So it's interesting. You get a lot of the same kind of cards that keep coming up so far, but every now and then new kind of storylines will come up, and when you die, like, your heir will come and take over.
Oh, this is that Devolver title. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. That does look interesting. So, okay.
It's fun in that, like, when I'm completely wiped, dead, my brain has just melted, and I just want to sit there and do the least amount of work, but I don't want to watch television because, one, I don't own a television anymore, and and I don't want to, like, and everything on Netflix requires some kind of effort, like, mentally.
It does. It does.
If I'm gonna watch Marco Polo, I need to invest my time, and if I want to watch Narcos, I'm gonna have to actually read those subtitles.
I'm gonna have to stop you there. Narcos is absolutely worth the effort, though.
It is. I just don't have the effort just yet.
100% worth the effort. And my housemate and I did start Marco Polo because we weren't able to continue on with season 2 of Narcos because one of our housemates who watches it isn't up to speed yet. So in order for us to all hang out, we have to compromise. So
fair enough.
Yeah, but it's not really that big of an ask. But what I did see of Marco Polo before it was late, so what I did see of it was genuinely impressive. I mean, it got straight to it, didn't waste any time. So,
fair enough.
I mean,
so
worth the effort.
Reigns.
But I totally see that.
Yeah, Reigns. It's the it's been the game that I play when I just all I have to do is swipe left and right, which is great. You're gonna hate me for saying this, but I've been playing a surprising amount of Construction Simulator 2015.
Oh Jesus! All right.
I don't know what it is, but I fucking love these German simulator games. I don't know what it is, but the manial job simulator I think is one of my favorite genres ever. Like, Euro Truck Simulator 2 is one of my favorite games, like, of all time. Alright, and then I played Farming Simulator earlier this year, and I played a lot of it. And then I started getting into Construction Simulator, which just as fun. So that, and then finally on the list, one that I would like to talk a little bit about is Abzu. Abzu. Oh,
Abzu. Right. I'm looking this up right now.
I think you have it on your wish list, but it is the game that was developed by the art director and composer of Journey.
Okay. See, there's these things that I watch, and then I'm like, yeah, that looks great. And then I completely forget about them when somebody mentions it the next week.
I mean, just a quick review.
Okay.
All right. You can play this game in an hour and a half. So the whole thing will be done in an hour and a half. There's no replayability there to an extent. Maybe if you're an achievement hunter, there's some replayability. It's fucking beautiful. Like, it's one of the best looking games, and the art style is incredible.
As you would expect from the people who've made Journey, because that game.
It's a different studio, but it's from the people who were at whatever the name of the studio was. Who made Journey. Okay. So the art style is amazing. The music, oh my god, it's okay. When we get around to doing like the award show at the end of the year, which I imagine we're going to do one, it's already won best soundtrack, and I've been listening to that every day this week. So the about
this game bit here says that it's from the art director of Journey and Flower. Now, I had Flower for the PS3, and that was awesome. Like, that was just one of the most relaxing, superb titles ever. And again, not only the art direction, the sound follows the form as well. So okay, all right. I'm gonna have to make it a point to get this.
So Abzu, it's a beautiful game, aesthetically, acoustically. I think is acoustically the word? No, sonically is the word.
Sonically,
sonically is the word. So it's fucking beautiful. Narratively, it's a bit dry. I mean, you can see where they try to throw in a little bit of that emotion, that trying to trigger those goosebumps, maybe a little tear jerk.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't not do that. I mean, if you are a sensitive kind of person, then it's there. There's some light puzzle solving, very light, enough to keep you intrigued. And I think what I like the most about this game is that even though it is an hour and a half and they're asking £15 for it, which is a big ask, it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Okay.
Like, and there is, I think, one point where I felt, okay, we need to move this along, and it just did straight away. It just moved it along.
All right.
So highly recommend it if you have the money. If you don't, then wait for the sale and definitely get it, because it is one of those experiences that you gotta experience it. You just gotta take an hour and a half out, and that's not a lot. I mean, considering people watch fucking shitty TV all day after work. It's a good use of your time. Granted, it's very expensive use of your time, but totally worth. I mean, I paid £15 for fucking Suicide Squad. Boy, was that fucking waste.
Well, that's what a lot of people are saying. I'm reserving judgment until I've had a proper opportunity to really take it in. I am probably going to lean on maybe some people's takes where they've said that because this is it's a watered down cut of the original cut of the film, and Warner Brothers did that because their metrics said that people were more into 15 or PG-13 films than they were 18 films, which is ridiculous. And we talked about this on previous episodes. I mentioned this, which is a ridiculous thing to suggest, both empirically or even anecdotally, considering how well Deadpool did this year. So, and even to a certain extent, the same can be said about Civil War. Civil War might have been PG-13 or 15, but it too didn't necessarily hold back. So I don't see why Suicide Squad should have. It's just a bit weird for me.
Video games. That's what I played. What about you? What did you play this week?
So this week has been tremendously busy for me. I have had so many interviews. I'm preparing to go back to uni. Literally a week from Monday will be the first day, enrollment, all that sort of stuff. So I've been taking care of it. What I have actually managed to get in has been confined pretty much strictly to my Wii U this week. So I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8. And I make no apologies for it. My housemate was kind enough to go ahead and get all of the downloadable content for it. So I've been playing those new courses. I will say, up until we got that DLC, I think my favorite course was probably the reinvention of Rainbow Road, because it's a Mario Kart classic. If you've ever played Mario Kart, Rainbow Road is pretty much the pinnacle. It's the Mount Everest of what Mario Kart has to offer. Hyrule Castle, however, is an absolutely gorgeous track. And it's not just gorgeous, but it's challenging and it's fun to play on. And I love it. I really, really do. Also, the customizations that you could do with your kart now, the leaf wheels are like god tier. If your kart does not have leaf wheels on it, I don't know what you're doing with your life. It is absolutely fantastic. Like, the grip and the speed and the acceleration, nice, finely balanced. So there's really and truly no excuse for you to be able to maneuver and beat anybody, to be fairly honest with you, unless you're crap. So
I didn't know that Nintendo did DLC.
Oh, they do. And they've embraced it well. The next DLC to definitely get will be for Super Smash Brothers, which is what we've also been playing a lot of this week. Me and my housemate, Jimmy, shout out to him. We have been doing a lot of co-op stuff, and it's a lot of fun. We've unlocked everything. And the only thing left to do would be to buy the DLC for that. And that would include characters like Bayonetta, Ryu, and Mewtwo, which are our top 3 that we definitely do want. I know that there's more characters available as well, and there's also more stages available, but the DLC, or the DLC bundle, which comes with everything that they've released for the game, is a steep asking price. I think it's like 31 quid.
Holy shit. That's a game.
Yeah, it is. But it's Super Smash Brothers, and because of Super Smash Brothers, Nintendo know for a fact that people will pay for it. So,
fair enough.
Go figure. So, I mean, yep. Also, shout out to my little brother, Nitro. He got me back into Monster Hunter. So I got Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate for my DS. 3DS, I should say. And while I haven't yet embarked upon it to the point where I can join a guild and start playing online so we can play together, which is the whole point why I bought the game in the first place, I have to say it's definitely improvement over 3, and 3 was an amazing title. So, yeah, shout out to the people that make Monster Hunter. They have reminded me why I do this to myself, and I get these games where you just have to absolutely grind it out, battling things that are so much powerful than you. Before Demon Souls, children, before Dark Souls, before any of that, Bloodborne, it was Monster Hunter. Okay, Monster Hunter was the one, because not only was it hard, not only was it challenging, not only was it extremely frustrating, but if you grind it out, it is extremely rewarding. And when you look upon your character clad in some of the most gorgeous rare armor, and you've got a sword the size of a dragon's tail that you can call on at any moment in time, it's absolutely worth it. I am this close to getting Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the Wii U, because I have seen some demo gameplay of that. And even though I'm playing it on my 3DS and I love it, I am very keen to see how it plays out using the Wii U gamepad and things of that nature. So, yep, shout out to them. It's been pretty much a Nintendo week this week, and I'm not sad about it at all, which nobody should really, because it's Nintendo, and Nintendo are the gods of this here game. So.
See, I'm completely out of the loop when it comes to Nintendo.
Gotta be in it.
I'm completely out of the loop. I mean, the only news I ever hear about, whenever I hear Nintendo news, is whenever a Pokemon game comes out, so whatever the new one is, what is it, like XY Black Z 2491, whatever.
It's on. They're on to Sun and Moon. I did see some of that stuff during their E3 unveil. Looks great, actually. And I'm quite tempted to trade my 3DS in for one of the new ones in the limited edition style for Sun and Moon, because, well, it's gorgeous to start with. That's one thing that you can always count on, without fail, whether you love or hate Nintendo. The one thing that you must give them props for is the fact that when they do hardware, they do it correctly. And when they make it, it's not just form and function, it's just aesthetically pleasing. Like, when you look at a Wii U, it's like, damn, that's gorgeous. When you look at a 3DS, especially the new ones, with the change in the way you can change faceplates and all that sort of stuff, again, the words that come out of your mouth is, damn, that's gorgeous. The limited edition new 3DSs that they've released recently, from the Hyrule Edition one all the way over to this new one for Pokemon, again, absolutely gorgeous. Like, as soon as people see it, they want to know what it is and where they can get it. And that's the question that I always get every single time they see me holding mine. So, I don't know. Maybe results will always vary where that's concerned, but it genuinely seems to be always universal acclaim whenever Nintendo drops some stuff. And it just always seems to be the way with them. So again, I can't knock them, and anybody who does is probably either a Sony or Microsoft fanboy, which we will not get into on this podcast because we don't have time.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's what I've been getting into this week. I'm really hoping that I get an opportunity to play Hitman, and I'm probably going to do that after we finish doing this. So again, Sid's generosity knows no bounds. If you don't have a friend like Sid, then you're doing social interaction wrong. That's all I have.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play Hitman either. But that's only because Hitman requires to be online.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
We should probably go ahead and use that as a disclaimer. If you are going to get into the new episodic version of Hitman, do be advised you do need an always-on internet connection for it, because the DRM requires it.
I mean, that's fine. Just be aware of any dickheads that live on your road that decide to fuck up the internet cable, because that's just going to fuck up your experience.
Trust me. I mean, your best bet is just basically to live in a reclusive rural part of the country where nobody can get to you or your exchange.
Where are you going to get internet then?
The exchange.
Okay.
But obviously the person who lives closest to the exchange will be you, unless somebody's really got it in for you and they're going to follow you to where you live.
The thing is, I live really close to the exchange, and I'm nowhere near rural.
No.
Yeah, but like there's some, you know what? On to the next bit. Good news and bad news.
Yes, good times, bad times. So quite a lot has happened this week. Quite a lot has happened today. My God. Yeah. Oh, where to begin?
Okay, I'm gonna start with my bad news.
Go on then.
So, have you played Ark Survival Evolved?
Oh yes, I have, and it's a frustrating experience.
These boys just don't know when to stop.
No, they don't.
They really don't. So, for anyone who doesn't know or doesn't care, good for you, because Ark Survival Evolved is one of those early access titles that tops the charts every time they do some new update and whatnot, where you wake up in some strange planet on an island, which is filled with the dinosaurs and other naked people.
Absolutely.
Loinclothed people, and you can customize your avatar to be the ugliest motherfucker known to mankind.
Oh yes. Which
is all well and good. Anyway, so it's still in early access and has been for however long it's been out. It's been like over a year now.
Yep.
The people behind Ark, I can't remember what the name of the company is, don't really care anymore, decided to release some DLC that is downloadable, playable content.
For an early access title? Has that ever been?
Oh yeah, of which you pay for. This is unprecedented. This is a new move, and boy, those people that you were talking about last episode, boy, are they unhappy.
Boy,
and I think a lot of people are, because how do you charge for extra pieces of content for a game that is not yet complete?
Yeah, that's a big ask. I mean, we really need to talk about how the DLC stuff has just gotten out of hand, and this just is I think it's fair to say it's an unprecedented move. Surely it is.
It's never been done before.
It hasn't been done.
I mean, technically it has.
Not like
to
this.
an extent.
Not like this.
Not like this. I mean, so here's the thing. The furthermore to this is that a user, one of the outraged users, went onto their Discord channel, where obviously they communicate with their fans and whatnot, and made a post, and then was replied to by a guy called Rob, I think, who worked for the company, and had a bitch session at him, telling them how the game is worth $60 and you're only being charged $20, and that this is blah blah blah. But you can find it, you can Google it if you want. My prerogative is not to go looking up the article, but so the PR backlash on that is obviously, boy, you done fucked up now.
To say the least. Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, later on he issued an apology, but even still, I mean, the DLC isn't even that good apparently. That's the worst bit.
Oh no.
I mean, the thing is, Ark is one of those games that even on a really good PC, it runs like shit. Like, I have a pretty good PC and it runs at like 12 frames a second on this. And you have YouTubers who have like rigs 10 times more powerful than mine. We're talking like triple Titan X's and all this shit. And they're still running the game at 30 FPS because that's barely stable as it is. I mean, granted, the game looks great running in Unreal Engine 4 and all that, but I mean, after, when you go digging through the files and whatnot, you can end up finding that they're basically using the assets that kind of come bundled with the engine, like the foliage and stuff. I'm not knocking it, it's there for you to use and whatever, it's, license free, but, it's just shady people doing shady things. And things start adding up. I mean, this goes back into the game that will not be named in terms of practices and whatnot. But when you start seeing the magic unfold, everything starts getting a bit more like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, what do you think?
This is heavy because, as I said, we talked about this when we talked about the game that shall never ever be mentioned or named again on this podcast ever again. And we talked about what it means to be a title that's in development. And this has once again thrust that whole topic right back into the fore. I made the case and I made the charge that I think there are quite a few titles that can be classified as in development. And because they continue to make content but then charge you for it and then release it in certain windows, that isn't at all different from it's not entirely different, I should say, to be clear. It's not really that dissimilar from how early access works. So now the makers of Ark have completely blurred that line, with now offering paid DLC for a title that isn't finished yet. It is still in early access. If we look at it conversely and we turn the whole thing on its head, how is this any different? Apart from the fact that there's some subtle nuance there, but in principle, how is it any different from a title like Fallout 4 and then the season pass for that and all of the stuff that comes along with that, for them to then be able to turn around and say, guess what, guys, Game of the Year edition, everything's included if you haven't already gotten all this stuff yet. So it's like, we really, 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 really have to find more succinct labels for this sort of stuff. Because at this point, the line between what is a fixed title and what is a developing title, it feels blurred for me now. And the makers of Ark have 100% taken that step to further blur that line. And there's going to be levels of confusion that we've probably not actually seen before. I mean, obviously you're going to get the nerd rage. There's always going to be nerd rage where DLC is concerned. 9.9 times out of 10, anytime you mention DLC in any context, you will get a groan of discontent in response from gamers. That's just the way that it works. Nobody wants to buy a game, then buy more stuff on top of the game, when the argument can be made quite compellingly that you should have included this in the final title before you release the thing.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, yeah, you'll get the nerd rage, and you'll have the absolute conservatives on the matter who say no more extra stuff.
Correct.
And then you'll have the complete other end of the spectrum where we'll be like, you know what, take everything, take all my money and go. And then you'll have then there's the rest of us.
Then there's the rest of us.
Yeah, then there's the rest of us. So I mean, like, DLC is not bad unless it has clearly been chopped out of the game in order to either separate the user base or to nickel and dime the user. So I mean, for example, like Battlefield and Titanfall, those series of games, the DLC is great for those games.
Yes, especially for Titanfall. For Titanfall.
I was happy to pay for those. However, the problem with Titanfall was that because there was DLC, not everyone can afford extra money for said game.
This is it.
And there are plenty of other games that you could spend your money on. And it split the user base and then killed the game, essentially. Even though Titanfall was one of the first games that in a long time that I was like, holy shit, I really enjoyed this game, and I'm not bad at this game either. And it was, I mean, that's the thing, like, generally speaking, when it comes to like competitive first-person shooters, I'm not great, I'm terrible. But Titanfall gave you a great sense of agency and power and ability to, well, because I mean, it was the first out of the park with the whole new levels of verticality and making the modern day shooter vertical. And then obviously we had Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 come out later, but with their vertical movement. but Titanfall came out first, and it was refreshing. It was cool, and bringing back the whole, the 90s, double jump kind of thing. And it was such a good game. I don't know if I'm hyped for Titanfall. Actually, to be honest, I don't feel hyped for anything ever again, for reasons. But yeah, Titanfall was a great game. It's just shitty practices, shady people doing shady things. I think we have a title. We got a title, guys.
Yeah, no, we're gonna go with that. Shady people doing shady things. Yeah, that's definitely. That's definitely.
Yeah, and then you'll have other examples of great DLC are like GTA 4, The Ballad of Gay Tony. Chinatown. Was it Chinatown Wars or whatever the other? No.
Chinatown Wars was a standalone DS
that was a
title, which I loved. It was a throwback to old school GTA titles, which if you've never played an old school GTA title, chances are that you're half my age. So
probably.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and whatever the other DLC was for GTA 4, those were great.
Yeah.
So just extensions of what it is, because I mean that's technically what DLC should be, and I'm being very kind of broad about it and very kind of nonchalant about what I'm saying here, but I feel that DLC should be just extensions of the game. So for example, like The Witcher 3, the expansion pass that they had with the Blood and Wine and the Hearts of Stone, I haven't played the game yet, but from what I've heard, it's exactly what it is. Extending the game and creating a longer and better experience. Basically, more of what you enjoyed. I think the best DLC I've played would probably be Year of the Snake for Sleeping Dogs.
Okay. All right. Which
was just an extension on the game. It's just more missions. Basically, I played Sleeping Dogs. I really enjoyed Sleeping Dogs. And there was here's some extra stuff if you wanted to play some more. And I was like, damn fucking straight. That is exactly what I wanted. Okay. Thank you. So, and I was like, you know what? Have my money. There you go. Take it.
So in terms... Sorry, go on.
Then you'll have shitty DLC.
Yeah.
Like Horse Armor.
Horse Armor?
You don't know about Horse Armor? Let me take you down a trip.
I feel like I do know what you're talking about.
So, back in the Xbox 360 days, Bethesda made a game called The Elder Scrolls for Oblivion. Okay. And they released a piece of DLC called Horse Armor.
Yeah, they did. Okay, now I'm totally with you on that. But they made up for that with Shivering Isles.
I mean, they made up for it. But they released Horse Armor. And that is essentially the standard of shit DLC. That's the mark. If you have reached that mark, you don't fuck up now.
Pretty much, yeah. You could possibly toss in what's the latest one that they've done for Star Wars Battlefront?
I think it was the Death Star.
No, not the Death Star. It's the one. It was that floating city
Cloud City.
No, damn it.
That's what it's called. It's called Bespin Cloud City.
Bespin, there it is. Bespin.
Bespin's the name of the planet.
Yeah, but that's what the DLC
God, you are the
called.
worst geek.
No, Bespin's the name of the planet, but that's the name of the DLC that they've called it. And I know Cloud City is part of Bespin, but they've called the DLC Bespin. That's the word I was looking for. So, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks, Sid. Jesus. So yeah, the DLC thing. It is something that we do need to, going forward, I think everybody, whether you're on the ultra-conservative end saying that, nope, DLC is unacceptable under any circumstances, considering that when we got expansion packs for games like StarCraft, for example, they were actual expansions of the game and you can justify charging people for it. Or if you're on the more, shall we say, liberal part of the gaming spectrum, where it's just like, look, it's a new day, it's a new dawn, and I'm feeling good. Shout out to Nina Simone. We're just going to go ahead and go with it. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But, it's the thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, so, on that spectrum, they're the kind of people that would buy the DLC regardless, because it is part of the completionist kind of attitude, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm overly selective with my DLC. I'm kind of like, if I want it, I'll get it. But I mean, there are plenty of games I have not bought season passes or a DLC for because I'm like, nah.
I have gotten into the habit of basically waiting to see if there's going to be a Game of the Year edition or a complete edition or the Ultimate edition that usually launches alongside the titles now, to see if that's going to be available at a cut rate. That's precisely how I got into Titanfall, and that was a great decision, because considering how much it would have costed to buy everything up front, from a consumer aspect, and just from a consumer aspect alone, you can see why people would wait. So yeah, I see why people waited for the Game of the Year or Legendary Edition of Skyrim. I see why people waited for, or are waiting for Star Wars Battlefront's Ultimate Edition to have everything available, and then they cut the price of it.
I mean, there's an entire community of those kind of people. They're called patient gamers.
Yep.
One of my old favorite subreddits. They're quite cool. But the thing is that when you'll get someone who will discover the subreddit and they'll be like, what would you recommend? And it's always the same things. It's always the same. It's like, get Skyrim, the Legendary Edition. Go get some Spec Ops: The Line, and they'll basically name every fucking title from 2013 and 14. No, not 14. 14 was a bad year. 2011, 12, and 13.
Yeah, those are rough years for DLC, I think. And if we're going to look at great examples of DLC, absolutely Rockstar needs to be mentioned. What they did with Lost and Damned and the Ballad of Gay Tony was absolutely the way to go about it. If you're going to make sure that you're going to charge anything more than $5 for DLC, this is how you do it. Another great example would be the way that Bethesda went about it with Fallout 3. Now, those DLCs, every single one of them, quality on quality. We're talking racks on racks of great stuff. You wanted to buy it when it released. You wanted Mothership Zeta. If for nothing else, that absolutely spiffing weapon that you got when you finished it. You wanted the Pit. You wanted all of those DLC packs because it did open a brand new area and a brand new scope and more lore into the game than you had previously. And it's not as if Fallout 3 didn't give you everything and more. It's not as if the Capital Wasteland didn't give you 100+ hours of stuff to do already, you know? A lot of people are going to, scream at me and say, well, what about The Witcher 3? Okay, that's a great example. The only reason why I haven't included it personally is because I haven't played it. So, but, I mean, I see what people talk about, the latest expansion that they've done for it, and they can't get enough of it. Like, some people have said they were genuinely sad when they got to the end of it. How they got to the end of it after 100+ hours on top of 100+ hours more, I have no idea. They obviously have more time than I do. But
it seems to me everyone's got more time than I do.
Shout out to them. Shout out bastards. To them. They are living the dream, as we would commonly refer to in this life and the next.
But yeah, I mean, back to the main point. Mm-hmm. Arc has blurred the line when it comes to what is acceptable and what is not. This
is not going away anytime soon. This is
it's started, and I mean the backlash that they've got because of releasing DLC is very heavy, and I think the nerd rage has kind of helped in that, and maybe dissuading other developers from doing something similar. For example, boy, that nerd rage is gonna get a massive boner soon as DayZ decide, you know what, let's do some DLC.
Oh no, I'm really.
That's the worst nightmare. That is everyone's worst nightmare.
Or H1Z1. I mean, if they.
Oh god. Oh no, but they did the thing where they split the game in two.
Yeah, they did. And if they go down this route, rest in peace to your mentions. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I know what my opinion is. I don't want to play Ark Survival Evolved. I mean, I had my fill of it. I didn't get far. Didn't do much.
I didn't get far. I didn't do much either. But if this is the way that they're going about it now, then consider me tapped out. Like I'm moving on. I'm definitely.
I mean, I literally have like 600 other games I need to finish first.
Do you know what I mean?
Noodles.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd rather just concentrate. And besides anything else, if we're going to use good examples, then we must give the people at Frontier a huge shout out, because the way they've done Elite Dangerous and how they do their expansions and what they ask for it is absolutely the way forward. Because I think They say, look, you pay this and we've got you covered for like the next 2 years. No one's only the most entitled of gamers, the ones with the heightened sense of entitlement that really needs to bring it down a couple of pegs, will complain about that. But everybody else who is reasonable will look at it and say, you know what, Frontier, that's actually a reasonable proposition. And considering that you are just continuing to throw stuff at this game, I can't complain.
I mean, they're doing it right.
They are doing it right. So yes, shout out to Frontier.
Cool. So, do you want to go with good news or bad news?
I'd like to start with some good news this week.
Okay, go for it.
Keep it fresh and interesting. So I live tweeted the Apple event. I've actually got two pieces.
Wait, there's good news?
There is good news.
Okay, carry on.
For a long time, it has been suspected, ever since Miitomo dropped on iOS, that Nintendo were going to push actual games onto the platform. They confirmed that. I was more shocked than anybody, really, because at an Apple event, you don't get surprised by anything that they say. It's all really predictable. From their technology all the way over to whatever announcements they got. But I was genuinely surprised to hear Tim Cook bring out Miyamoto-san. And the reason why he was there is because Nintendo have been doing precisely that. They've got a game called Super Mario Run, which is coming out on iOS very, very soon. Now, they didn't give a fixed date, but Nintendo usually does that because they will make sure when they announce the date, the thing is ready. From what was demonstrated, though, this is the reason why I love Nintendo. From what they've demonstrated, they have gotten everything right about this. Now, Super Mario Run is basically a side-scroller, which, if you've ever played games like Sonic Dash or, what's the name of that? Is it Flappy Bird? Remember Flappy Bird?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
right.
Oh, God.
So basically, you're using one hand to control Mario, but it's all touch and force sensitive. So the longer you push down, the higher Mario jumps. Okay. Levels are timed, including in the competitive mode called Toad Rally, where you basically, the object is to get more rings than the person that you're competing against. That's, again, friends and people that you've never met before in your entire life worldwide.
Okay.
It looks precisely like Super Mario Bros. U. That is impressive considering what mobile tech has been able to offer. I think it was ARM that said that they predicted that their mobile GPUs will exceed that of console and fixed GPUs in the next 4 years.
I mean, ARM just made a shit ton of money. Did you see how much they got sold for?
Listen.
24 billion!
Like
pounds! Not even dollars. Pounds!
ARM is on point with it. And to be honest, this is something that NVIDIA and ARM have been working at, and AMD too, to a certain extent, although they have really tried to focus on Radeon as a platform as a whole. But when NVIDIA dropped the Tegra, that was a game changer. ARM has really tried to push it as much as forward to putting everything on one die. AMD said, we see what you're doing, ARM, and we like that, so we're going to do that as well. My computer is one of the A-series APUs, which has got the GPU and the CPU on the same die. It's an impressive technological feat to have all of that available to you without having to purchase additional components, unless you want additional components. So it's great for consumers as well, because they can budget their systems around that, and I think that's fantastic. Now, back to the point. The point is that Nintendo were only going to jump into the mobile market if they felt like they could make it work for them. And I think this is a great first offering. So Mario will be available on everybody's smartphones. I think that's a great thing. They're starting with iOS first.
Wait. Officially?
Officially, yes. Officially. So Super Mario... Super Mario. Yeah. Is it Super Mario Run? Did I say that's what it was called? Yeah, Super Mario Run will be out on iOS first, but Android people do not feel left out. Nintendo see you, and they will get it to you as soon as whatever timed exclusive elapses or whatever. You know how Apple runs things. So
cool. That sounds interesting.
I really enjoyed the demonstration. I thought that in terms of that whole side scroller, you're not actually controlling how fast Mario runs or anything like that, but Nintendo could only take something as done to death as that and breathe new life in it in a way that only they know how. And I think the fact that they've also said that this will not be a free-to-play game, it will not have ads, it will be a fixed title, and there won't not be anything that you have to buy in order to continue playing the game. Once you've bought the game, that's it. I think that is awesome. That is something that mobile games in particular really, really needed. Because even if you bought certain games, there's certain things within the game, like microtransactions, that you could buy in order to get ahead faster. Nintendo's not doing any of that crap. So again, shout out to Nintendo for constantly doing things correctly. I'm absolutely with it. I'm not getting an iPhone 7. That's a different conversation for another day. But I am absolutely getting that game for my 6S Plus when it drops. Nintendo can have the coins as they usually. They don't need much to convince me. They just need to just do things, and I'll give them money. But
fair enough.
This is going to be great, and I think the fact that everybody will be talking about Mario once again, just after Japan announced that they're taking the Olympic Games, and the Prime Minister of Japan showed up in Mario cosplay to announce that. Like,
boss move.
That was a sick move.
That was a bossy move. How you gonna show up dressed up as fucking Super Mario?
Listen, understand. I don't care what subsect of gaming that you come from. I don't care if you're one of the Goobergate people. I don't care if you're one of the cash people or the so-called hardcore people. It does not matter. Absolutely nobody can say that gaming has not gone mainstream. We made it. We've arrived. People are talking about it. It's part of everybody's day-to-day, and Nintendo has led that charge. So shout out to them. And I'm really looking
I mean, gaming's been mainstream for a while.
For a while.
I mean, 80 billion a year is...
Come on now.
It's bigger than Hollywood. Come on. Anyone who thinks otherwise, you're a fucking idiot.
Come on now. No, yeah. This is not something. This is not something that people are doing in their basements anymore, guys. We are definitely mainstream now. So let's get with it, and let's make sure we can get more people to get involved, because the stuff is fun. Can't knock it. But yes, that's my bit of good news. I'm really impressed that Nintendo are taking the mobile move seriously, and they're not holding back. So they're giving us the goods. All I need for them to do at some point is just announce they're doing an F-Zero title, and I'm totally with it.
Nice. So I'm going to follow up with some good news, which is kind of like bad news for Nintendo. Basically, Nintendo did one of those DMCA takedowns that they love doing.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
I don't want to mention the name of the game that this game was based on, but the game is called No Mario Sky, where you play a procedurally generated world and you go exploring them as Monsieur Mario. And then obviously Nintendo, being Nintendo, decided to take it down because they don't like copyright infringement. But the good news is that our budding game developer decided to just re-upload it and call it DMCA Sky. That's just great. Like, you can't even. What are you gonna say?
I did see this week, and I was just like, you know what? I'm copying because it's just I need to get that. So I'm gonna get on that because we talked about this, I think, in the first episode, perhaps maybe the second, but there is something about titles that use these sort of things illegally. But again, if you're talking about what's illegal and legal, that's not a great basis as a moral or ethical arbiter, because there are legal things that are morally and ethically reprehensible, and then there are illegal things that are actually morally and ethically sound. So it really depends on who it benefits and who it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to these games, they are important because they offer certain things. The companies like Nintendo, Sony, and the like are going to turn around and say, I've got to do one or two things. They're either going to give you a job, or they're going to take you to court. And unfortunately, the latter happens more than the former, but they can't say that they haven't been influenced by the people who do this essentially for free. So, I'm here for these titles because it's always interesting to see how they bring certain things to the fore and provide an experience that we otherwise would not have gotten. So I'm here for them personally. Obviously, you've got to be careful about what it is that you encourage, because then, of course, a company's going to come along and slap you with a cease and desist, then be like naughty and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we get the legal convolution of that. But just from a gaming standpoint, speaking as somebody who loves seeing innovation in both hardware and software, I love seeing these kind of titles, because that's where it seems to be the creativity juices really get flowing. I mean, if we saw more of that in the industry, perhaps they wouldn't worry so much about having certain stuff copyright infringed or patents infringed, or which brings me to my bit of bad news.
Go for it.
Now, for anybody who is not British, there is a company by the name of British Telecom. And British Telecom, or BT as they're commonly referred to over here, is the bane of everybody's existence. And I do mean everybody. Even if you're not a BT customer, BT will still manage to piss you off somehow. If you don't have to pay if you have to pay line rental, that's BT's fault.
That's
if you have
everyone.
If you have to pay line rental, it's BT's fault. If you have to wait for an OpenReach engineer to come out and install something that's not a BT product, again, that's BT's fault. BT have somehow managed to subvert every antitrust law that this country has, because they own, quite literally, at least 95% of every exchange in this. They also have patents for stuff that they don't use in their everyday markup. Which brings me to the bad news. BT has served lawsuit papers to Valve over patent infringement for the many core services of Steam. Here's what they said. They said that Valve's products infringe on its technologies, including Steam Library, Steam Chat, Steam Messaging, and Steam Broadcasting. And according to the suit, the company contacted Valve on many occasions as far back as October last year, but Valve ignored them.
And rightly so.
Yes.
Because, holy shit, the library?
The library.
Now, the chat?
The chat.
The broadcasting?
Basically, all of Steam ever apparently infringes on their patents. Now, before we go any further, there's something that everybody needs to kind of research and get into before you're able to kind of have a take on this. And I highly encourage everybody does it, because this shows how not only archaic the patent system is, but also how redundant the patent system is. There's something that people like to do called patent trolling. Basically, what you will do is you will get a patent for something vague. And I mean really vague. It can be something specific, which is what the patent system was meant to do, so that anybody who tries to use your idea, you could be like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Where's my money? Kind of thing. Or where's my credit at the very least? That's what the patent system was meant to do. But it's 2016 now, and the patent system is not equipped to keep up with how rapidly things progress. Nor is it equipped to dealing with the nuance between taking someone else's idea and building on top of it, thereby creating a whole new innovation, which you can quite compellingly argue, or you can argue against. The problem with that is that BT's got like 4 of these things. So the first one is GITTINS. And apparently, the patent relates to providing users with a content that originates from multiple subscription services and delivering it through a single portal where a customer may access content for which it has access rights. That is quite literally every client ever, from Steam all the way over to Uplay. Not kidding. I'm not exaggerating.
That includes Spotify, SoundCloud, that's YouTube.
That's iTunes, that's Windows Store, that is everything. BT could sue everyone now. That is such a vague patent to have, but they're trying to cash in on Valve. Second one, the Newton patent. What does this deal with? The delivery of messages containing information and data. That would include SMS.
That's
that
fucking
would include
email.
WhatsApp, that's email, that's Telegram, that's all of that shit.
Technically, that's a ping.
Messages are stored as files at a server for retrieval by the intended clients. Each client transmits requests for messages to the server at automatic and periodic intervals, the suit adds, referring to Steam Chat. That's also Facebook Messenger, but I don't see BT trying to flex on Facebook, probably because they know better. Third, the Bettis patent. That refers to, or relates to rather, a communication system in which a user is provided with different communication mechanisms, and each mechanism is associated with a core control protocol. That would include things like Skype. So I don't really understand where BT gets off by focusing on Valve, apart from bullying them, because BT is like 300 times larger than Valve is.
I mean, BT is like literally 300 times bigger than Valve. However, I see what they're trying to do.
I see what they're trying to do.
Listen, Valve is arguably, right? Valve is still a private company, so we have no idea how much they make, right?
Nope.
But they are definitely the most profitable fucking company ever.
In terms of gaming, yeah, in terms of gaming.
I mean, not just in gaming, just
in general.
Okay, think about it like this, right? The cost of a server to host, the install files for all these games, right? In comparison to the amount of games that they have, fucking nothing. Okay. In comparison, fucking nothing, right? Then to obviously host whatever games are going on and to run their site, the entire Steam platform is run off fucking web pages. It's not like actual software; it's web pages. So we're literally talking about a web server duplicated by a CDN across the world in different delivery networks, and then that's it. That's it. That's fucking nothing. The cost of these servers is nothing in comparison to how much they're fucking making, because they're not. There's every sale, and I mean every sale.
Yep.
Steam takes 30%, and I'm not just talking about just the games. I'm talking about the DLC, all the marketplace transactions, and the marketplace transactions don't just include like CS:GO knives. No. We're talking about Dota 2 items. We're talking about wallpapers. When you sell those wallpapers that you get in your inventory, all those little fucking icons, all the trading cards. Every time that transacts to someone else, right? So I don't know if anyone's noticed this. All right, because a lot of people don't seem to. But when you put up your trading cards for sale, or your fucking little icons, or your little emoticons that you get, right, you say how much you want and how much you're going to put up for sale. If you say you want to sell something for 2 pence, it will be sold for 4 pence. That's because Valve takes the rest of that money. And it's just a constant evolution of money. It's continuously growing over and over and over. And it all just comes down to, look, I've put £10 in my Steam wallet. That money is staying at Valve, regardless of whatever the fuck you do. You could buy a game, get it refunded. You could then make money, technically speaking, by, what's called farming Steam cards and icons and wallpapers and whatnot, and selling those on the market. That money is, regardless of whatever you do, is staying at Valve. And every time you make a transaction of any kind, 30% of that goes to Valve, and it will continuously always stay at Valve, and it is just constantly profitable. Gabe Newell is one rich motherfucker. He's a billionaire because of this. And on a private company. They're not on the stock exchange. They're not public. They've got like a couple of hundred employees at most. They don't even need to make games anymore. They don't have to. They don't need to. Maybe a few updates to CS:GO because of fucking, whatever, community, whatever. And Dota 2. But that's it. They're good. They're good. There's no Half-Life 3.
No.
They don't even make the fucking Steam controllers. They don't make the Steam machines. They don't even make the Vive. Their own fucking products. They don't even make them. HTC make it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. HTC make the Vive. We've got Dell to do, from the Alienware series, they've got them to do a Steam machine along with a couple of others, all of which look glorious, by the way. I think the Steam machines was a masterstroke. But then, if we're talking about the Steam machines, then to me, right, and the fact that SteamOS is built on top of Linux, basically. It's open source all the way through, which is free. You actually don't need to buy a Steam machine. You can build one yourself.
Exactly.
So if you got the hardware and you want something that is quite literally like a console experience, then you can definitely install SteamOS on anything that you've got pre-existingly, stick it in your main room downstairs, and be done. That is absolutely it.
I mean, not just that, but their Steam Link makes the Steam machines obsolete.
I wouldn't even get into Steam Link. Okay, but Steam Link is definitely on my wish list for Christmas this year because I need it.
I mean, I don't have a TV, so I mean, I have no use for it. But if I did decide to get a TV, I would get it with a Steam Link.
Absolutely.
But Valve is just ridiculously profitable. Like, regardless of whatever you do, you sell something for a $5, they'll take 30%. You sell something 30%. For £50-60, which is full price.
30%.
They're taking 30%. That's profit. They're not doing anything. All they got to do is say, you want to sell your stuff? Cool. Here you go. Here's your space on the server. Here's your control panel. You decide when you want to put it on sale. You decide when you want to, put a discount on it. You just carry on. We're just going to sit here, just counting that money. Just counting it.
So, I mean, but ultimately, when it comes to that, and then the final patent here, which this is probably the most annoying, is the Buckley patent. Okay, and that lawsuit says that it's a multi-user display system and method for controlling a communal display that includes at least 2 independent workstations and an interface server for connection to a data network. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where BT takes the absolute piss. Now, the reason why I'm just going to come straight out here and say it. I don't care if there's anybody who works at BT that's listening to this. I don't care if there's anybody who works at BT who clocked into this episode because they heard me chatting shit about your stupid ass company. I'm just going to go ahead and say it straight out the bat. I think BT are wholly patent trolling.
Oh, absolutely. They know they're patent trolling.
They know they're patent trolling. Look, they're trying a thing. Now, the fact that this has gone to court in the United States, or at least the lawsuit was filed in Delaware on the 28th of July. Don't know why we're only hearing about it now, though. But the reason why I think they've gone after this is because they're cashing in somehow. They're trying to cash in on something, and they've spent a considerable amount of money on BT Sport in the last couple of years. Quite a lot on exclusivity as well. And they're trying not to be the ESPN and Setanta of football right now. So they're really trying to go after Sky's lion's share on Premier League football, which makes a considerable amount of money.
Yeah.
They also are not stupid enough to place all of their eggs in one basket, so they're cashing in on things that they know that they've been sitting on for a while, and they thought Valve was insignificant enough to go after.
I mean, that's the thing. They won't go after Twitch.
No.
Because that's owned by Amazon, right?
Yes.
And because everyone knows what Amazon is. They're not going to.
If you're going after Amazon, I don't care how big your company is. You better have money to flex. And I'm pretty sure their legal team basically turned around and said, "Don't."
Yeah, I mean, there's that. But I mean, it's just down to you have to really get into the mindset of the people who tried this, right? We're talking about rich old white dudes sitting in fucking Kensington, right? Who are like,
you know what? I don't even think they left BT Tower. I'm just going to say that.
But point is, we're talking about a rich white dude. They probably haven't even left home. So yeah, and they're sitting in Somerset House, and they're like, okay, here's the list of the companies that are using our patents. All right, okay. What about and they're going through the list, and it goes like this. It goes a little something like this. What about Facebook? Oh no! Everyone knows Facebook. They got too much money. They got way too much behind them. What about Google? Do you really want to? You really? They're called Alphabet now, sir. I don't think that's a good idea. What about Twitch? They look like they're making money. They're owned by Amazon. Okay, everyone knows what Amazon is.
No, sorry, sir. I'm afraid they're owned by Amazon.
Yeah. YouTube? Oh, no. That's a terrible idea.
No. Well, again, Google, Alphabet, we don't have the capital.
What about Periscope? They don't even do anything. They don't even do anything. What about that Skype thing that we're using right now to talk?
Microsoft? Are you silly?
I have to go to his wedding tomorrow.
I have to go to the CEO of Microsoft's wedding week. I couldn't bear to think of what their family might think about what they're doing to their livelihood. Absolutely not.
Oh,
can't do that.
Lord Bumfluff, look at this one on that list. This one, Valve. Look at that. Look at their reports. What our inside manager sent us. They're making billions. They're not even public. That right there is an easy target.
That's an easy target. I mean, we can totally justify it to our existing clientele who use our services to connect to Valve in the first place. I'm sure they'll
I think we have our mark, sir. I think we have our mark.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how BT came up with this whole cockamamie scheme.
Jeez.
So there we are.
Call the lawyers. I'll be at the theatre.
Get the car ready, and then take me to Heathrow. We're getting on the first plane to Delaware. Where is Delaware, anyway? Never even heard of it.
That is exactly how that conversation went down.
That is exactly how it went down. You heard it here first.
They don't know what Valve is because Valve is not public. Valve doesn't have outsider interest inside. The people behind this dumbass shit that are trolling because they can troll because they have these patents, which I'm surprised they're still even valid anymore at this point because they filed these like decades ago, and they're trolling because, and they know they're trolling, and they would have done it to someone else, but they went for what they thought was the easier mark, which is Valve, a private company run by, which is still Valve doesn't have a CEO. Valve has a managing director, like all private companies do. Anything that has like outsider shareholders and whatnot, that's when a CEO is involved. There is no CEO of Valve. There is a managing director. Like the same way there's a managing director of Joe House grocery store around the corner. That. Shout out to Joe Howe.
Shout out to Joe.
But yeah, so that is what it is. They're looking at the small guy. And they think Valve's a small guy. That's the dumb thing.
That's the thing. That is the other thing that I need to talk about this. The reason why I've chosen this for my bad news is that I personally think there's going to be bad news eventually for BT, because I think they've wholly underestimated just who they've gone after. And if there's one thing that I know about gamers, especially in the UK, it's that they hate BT and they will die on a hill for Valve. So I hope they're prepared for the public backlash the more that this gets talked about, especially in gaming circles. Trust me, everybody, look, from the amount of people that might start boycotting BT and moving their services over to Virgin, I just did that this year. So I hope you're prepared for people to walk. I hope BT have really done their homework, because this patent trolling is a nonsense. I'm so sick and tired of people, and this is the overarching thing and the overarching point I want to make, and then we'll move on. I'm so sick and tired of people taking out patents for technology that is so vague in description that they'll then turn around and go after somebody who made absolute better use of it than you ever could. Not only is that one of the most dubious things that you could ever do, not only is it completely, totally unethical in practice, I won't even get into the morality of it because I don't think it's relevant at this point, but not only that, but if BT put half as much effort into making sure that their services and their customer service was as good as their patent trolling, then they wouldn't get the amount of complaints that they get every year. And I pray that somebody from BT listens to this episode, because I need you to know that the main reason, speaking as an ex-BT customer, the main reason why people can't stand you is because of shit like this. It's because of shit like this and the fact that you deliver a substandard service. So, yes, as a matter of fact, we can go ahead and put a nail on it. For well done, do better, which is the next segment, I say well done to Valve, and I say do better, BT.
Is that the name of the segment now?
That is the name of the segment.
See, I had an idea. I was thinking about calling it, whose fault is it anyway?
We could do that. We could do it.
Well, we'll see where it goes. If anyone's listening, leave a comment or something.
Yes, please do that. Let us know what you would like for it to be called. I think we'll go for a democratic ticket on this one. But yes, well done to Valve for obviously not only being able to deliver Steam sales which bleed my account dry every single time that they come around, but also for offering, to date, the best number and the best quality of titles that I can go through. Valve is everything. And yes, I will be getting a Steam controller. And you know what else? Just to piss BT off, I'm going to get Steam Link. And you know what else? You know what else I'm going to do?
You're going to broadcast on Steam.
I'm going to broadcast on Steam.
You're going to be the only person, but fuck it.
I'm going to broadcast on Steam over my Virgin Media connection. And all throughout that broadcast, I'm going to talk about how shit BT is. How you like them apples. I'm going to tell everybody that I know, including the ones that have BT, to move away from BT as soon as it's financially viable. How do you like them apples? Do better, BT. Do better. By the way, speaking also as a football fan, the commentary for BT Sport sucks. I just thought I would go ahead and point that one out as well. Yeah? I'm just going to take a massive dump all over your entire estate, BT, because that's how much I can't stand you. And you bought EE, which means once you go and try and repackage it as BT Mobile, I'm going to have to move to something like O2 or something like that. Because as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's not only that I needed an excuse to leave EE. Of course, I'm tied into certain contracts and all that sort of fun stuff. But as soon as you announce that EE becomes BT Mobile, which I know that you're gearing to do, I know you're going to do it. As soon as you do, I'm out. So just know, I see you. I see you. You slimeball snake biting motherfuckers. I see you. All right? That's that. 2 segments done in one nutshell. Hold out your boy. Damn, this is a good episode. Anyway, let's keep it moving. We're probably going to take it into the slippery slope zone. Now, I know you've got something.
Do I?
I've definitely got something on my chest that I think we owe it to, especially considering that it was unveiled today.
Go for it. I think it's more topical.
See, I like my consoles.
Let's preface this. I have no idea about it. So all the information I'm going to be getting is literally from this very moment.
Okay, I will give you a decent enough breakdown.
Okay.
Right. After I finished doing the live tweet of the Apple event, which my brief synopsis of it is there was impressive features for the Apple Watch Series 2 and the iPhone 7. It's certainly pretty, but I disagree wholeheartedly. I disagree wholeheartedly with the implications that it's going to have using Lightning as not just a charger, but also as a headphone jack. I don't like that. I think it's got added implications for what it's going to mean for the industry. It's going to force the music industry in particular to choose sides or commit extra money and resources to basically pandering to both sides in their clientele. They already have a problem with Apple as it stands. It's a mess. And while the progression absolutely is there, I will give Apple all the credit in the world there. I just don't think that the implementation of it is going to be smooth. And I don't think phasing out micro USB should go down that route. And then there's the added complication of the fact that the EU is going to require them to have some sort of micro USB charging capacity next year. Don't know how Apple's going to do that after today's event. It's all up in the air now. Moving on. Sony decided to go ahead and do a release, an unveiling event of their own. And it's for their, what was originally codenamed PlayStation 4 Neo. They have given it a name. It's called the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Hold on.
Now.
What do you mean Pro?
Pro.
Because when I hear the word Pro, okay, let me look at it like this. Listen, like, I bought the first iPad.
Yep.
8 years later, they came out with the iPad Pro. I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's fucking massive. It's pretty much, it's as big as a laptop, just without the laptop features. I get what they're going with this, right? Because I'm an illustrator. I can see the use for it. I'm not going to spend that money on that fucking piece of shit. But I get it. It's a pro. Yeah. It's a pro device. Like, as an illustrator, I have a Wacom Intuos tablet. I have the Wacom Intuos, and I have the Wacom Intuos Pro, which is the much better one, which is what I do my drawings in. But when I'm out and about, I keep my little basic one with me because, I carry unnecessary shit in my bag. I have Premiere Pro as my video editing software. I have, many other pro packages of which are for professional use.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So when you say PlayStation 4 Pro, what are you saying? What are you saying?
Well, oh boy. Okay, so basically, the PlayStation architect, Mark, I think his surname is pronounced Cherney. I think that's how you pronounce it. He came out on stage and he basically said, right, guys, you're able to now stream HDR and 4K content. You can now look at its faster processor, which again, AMD makes. And for those who are keeping score, they've made processors and GPUs for all of the available consoles this generation, from the Wii U to the Xbox One to the PlayStation 4. AMD has made the chips for all of them. So any of the fanboys want to go ahead and get into the who won category debate or whatever, there's only one winner, and that winner is AMD. Make sure you include that in your discussion. Moving on. So basically, it's all tossed in a case. It has a 1 terabyte hard drive. There is a new Netflix app available where you can 4K stream.
Oh, wow.
Or whatever. Yeah, lovely. Watch Dogs 2 was demonstrated. Horizon Zero Dawn was demonstrated. Rise of the Tomb Raider, which already came out early this year, is demonstrated. Spider-Man, apparently, was demonstrated. Killing Floor 2, all demonstrated. And For Honor,
which... Killing Floor 2 still in early access?
Sure is, but they were demonstrated in 4K for Sony's purposes to pitch people to spend more money on what is essentially a slightly upgraded version of the PlayStation 4, which only came out a couple of years ago. All right.
Okay.
Alongside that, they mentioned that they've redesigned the PS4, so there's a PS4 Slim, which basically is just their way of saying, "Hey, Microsoft, anything that you can do, we can do as well. Maybe not better, just as well."
Well, I mean, Sony did pioneer the Slim console.
They did do that, and the PS3 Slim was gorgeous.
I'll tell you what was good: the PS1.
Yes, the PS1 redo.
That was a console.
Now that's how you do it. But my argument, as far as I'm concerned, is I get you've got market trends to kind of catch up with and keep up with. I get that you've got business plans in place. But I'm just going to come out here and say this. I don't like your fucking business plans because they're so myopic. They are so nearsighted. It's dreadful. Look, the PlayStation 4, the best games to come out for it aren't even out yet. And you're bringing out another console, which, to be fair, looks like a Filofax system. I'm not even kidding. Like,
I still haven't seen it yet. Hold up, wait. Let's take a look at some first impressions. Let's listen to them.
Mate,
PS4 Pro.
Just like when you see what the PS4 Slim looks like, then you look and see what the PS4 Pro looks like. You're going to crease because whoever out on Twitter that said this, I can't remember your app name. God bless you.
They basically put a PS4.
Do you see what
underneath the PS4 Slim?
Do you see what I'm saying? What is that? Seriously, that's it? You're going to charge people money for this? Sony, what are you doing? Like, nah, I can't get with it. Not for 4K streaming. At least Microsoft had the foresight to say, we're not going to make the Xbox One S look like the Xbox One. We are going to shrink it. We are going to make it smaller, which is the whole point of a redesign. And you managed to take a PS4 and make basically erode the top half of it. That's exactly what you've done here. I don't really get it. 2 PS4 Slims put together. That's it.
I mean, it's not two PS4 Slims together. It's a PS4 and a PS4 Slim on top of it.
It's ridiculous.
It's a PS4.5.
And then I look at the way that it looks on its side, And is that a stand underneath it that I see?
That is... What? No, come on.
Look at the promotional image.
Yeah,
is
I'm
that
looking at
not
it.
a stand that's underneath it?
I mean, I will give them the benefit of the doubt in that maybe it is just for that whole levitating look.
My God.
Maybe. But that does look like a stand.
It looks like a stand to me. And I don't even know where to begin with this. But the whole point, this is the discussion. This is where the discussion centralizes for me around not just the PS4 Pro, but also the Xbox One S. Given that when they pump so much money into these things, and they are selling them at a loss for at least the first year and a half on average, given that the Xbox 360, and in particular the PS3, did not start selling at a profit until like 2-3 years down the line, would it not make sense for the console market to hold off on releasing things every 2 to 4 years or whatever, focus on your R&D, and bring out a complete package going forward?
I'm going to play devil's advocate, as I normally do.
Go on.
All right. Looking at it from a business perspective, all right. The second that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were announced, they were obsolete. I mean, I'm saying it's not a joke. I mean,
No.
Specs wise, they were obsolete. You know, we're talking about 8 gigabytes of RAM and fucking an AMD 8-core processor. I mean, mate, I'm being bored and having no internet. I literally built another computer. It's back there, by the way, if you can see on Skype.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So, and that shit cost me like £100. I'll just like scrap parts, and that's got 16 gigs of RAM. It's got an AMD 10-core processor in there, and it's got a GTX 780 Ti in there. Fuck.
Would you mind sharing with the class what operating system it's running?
SteamOS.
SteamOS, guys. Still put that one out there. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, so, and that's for shits and giggles. But basically, in all seriousness, the PS4 and the Xbox One were obsolete, technically speaking, the second they were announced. But the reason that you would get one is because the games that you buy are highly optimized for those platforms, and you get the whole console experience, which is you're supposed to just turn it on, put the disc in and play. Obviously, we now install games even on the console experience, but let's not get into the nitty-gritty of it.
We're not going to get into that technically. It's
right.
Pretty much for streaming purposes. About it. Like, they showed the difference between... they showed a couple of games that supports HDR. One of them is Days Gone, and the other one is Last of Us. They always wheel out The Last of Us whenever they're doing new stuff now. Have done since the PS3.
It's their pioneer game.
It is essentially it's their swan song, really. I still haven't played The Last of Us.
I'll tell you what, they did one good thing, which is the PS Now being available on PC. So I may actually now be able to play The Last of Us.
Anyway, moving on. Redesigns. So the PS2 Slim compared to the PS2.
The PS2 Slim was quite sexy.
I think they did that out of necessity because the PS2 was gargantuan. Like, you weren't moving.
It was big, and the thing is, the PS2 redesign was done because of piracy. Now, as someone who was a bit of a PS2 pirate back in the day, right? When the PS2 Slim came out, I was like, "Fuck." They fucked me up.
Just as a side note, between BT and Sony, I'm pretty sure that they're listening to this and thinking, we got to fuck their day up at one point.
They can fucking try. What are they going to fucking do? Listen, what are they going to fucking do? I will get all of Black Lives Matter to fucking boycott them and stand underneath the fucking tower. Watch. I will have 10 of those motherfuckers climb to the top of BT Tower, and no one is going to be able to make a phone call. Watch. Fucking watch.
Woo! Okay, Jesus. So anyway, that happened.
Yeah, PS2 one was based on piracy.
Yeah. The Xbox 360 happened, then the Xbox 360S came out. probably a bit late, I would have thought.
It was fairly late.
There really was no point.
Well, I mean, the Xbox 360 had a lot of hardware issues because it was constantly overheating.
Yeah.
And that red ring of death.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I got so much use out of it because, fun story, so everybody was getting their Xbox 360s and everyone was taking the piss out of me because I didn't get one yet and all that sort of stuff. I was just like, I'm not really able to afford it right now. And then, I was living in America at the time, and one of the fun pastimes in America is to basically mock how broke you are because it's very classist. So I couldn't get one. But then the Xbox 360 Elite dropped. And everyone who already had an Xbox 360 was talking about how they were going to get one before anybody else and all that sort of stuff. I still had all of my Xbox stuff, my original Xbox stuff. I was still using it and getting a fair amount of play out of it. I traded all my stuff in, and I got my Xbox 360 Elite and some additional stuff cheaper than when they originally adopted the Xbox 360. So when I told everybody this, they were sick to their stomach. So I had the last laugh. It's one of my favorite moments as a gamer, really, because not only was I able to stick it to everybody who was giving me shit, but I got the thing that they wanted more than anybody, and I was the only one in that community that had one, and it was a glorious feeling. So to have people actually wanted to... Remember them days where somebody who had the shit that you really wanted, but your parents couldn't afford, and you would go around their gaff, right?
Yeah.
That still happens to this day. That's never changing. So whenever somebody's got the new shit, you go around to their house and, you make a nice evening of it. And it's fantastic. So that's what happened to me. I mean, the Xbox 360 Elite right there on top of a huge television in the main room where I was living with a couple of other people. And it got that work. And for a good 2 years, I mean, there wasn't a week that go by where it wasn't at least doing about 50 hours. Sometimes we'd be left on overnight.
That's the thing. The first Xbox 360, that was... it was good because of its price point and what it did, but it was a piece of shit hardware-wise. In terms of, that shit... Everyone who owned Xbox 360...
there was a catastrophically high failure rate, which nobody can really defend Microsoft for. Yeah. But... they
did fucking replace them, so
they stood by the thing. And the fact is that I don't think any other company apart from Nintendo would have had the capital at the time to be able to do such a thing, because Microsoft, let's be fair, is not a hardware manufacturer. They are a software company first. So anything that they put into the Xbox division, they're already selling at a loss. They just basically achieved to break even. So they're doing this for fun. And you have to give them that. So that's one thing that wasn't discussed as it should have done at the time, but certainly looking back on it now, people can realize and say, you know what, Microsoft did stand by the thing. They did replace the thing without no additional cost to anybody else. And then the redesign came out where they continuously put so much money into research and development. They worked tirelessly with IBM, who I believe was the one that designed their architecture for the Xbox 360, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Because the chief architect of the Cell microprocessor also worked on something that Microsoft asked for after they made the Cell microprocessor for Sony's PS3. I can't remember his name, but I did a dissertation on it back at the university that I was going to in the States, and it single-handedly ended the fanboy war in my class, which was relieving for me, really, because I was so sick and tired of hearing people say Xbox 360 is better than PS3. Whatever, dude. They're literally apples and pineapples, so it doesn't necessarily make sense. So the Xbox 360 S, when that came out, bit late, but still well received, particularly the Star Wars edition. Shout out to anybody who got the R2-D2 looking one, where every single time you opened the drive, it would make R2-D2 noises, and the controller was basically modeled off of the way that C-3PO looked. Thought that was excellent.
All right. Cool.
Thought it was excellent. If there's one thing I can give Microsoft, though, is that when they do redesigns and limited editions of their consoles, they go in, and I have to tip my cap to them. The Gears of War 3 edition of the Xbox 360S, phenomenal. Looks glorious. The Halo edition of the Xbox One, absolutely gorgeous. And now the Xbox One S, that's actually got me thinking about saying, well, you know what? I already do all of my gaming on PC, and I like how Microsoft are finally tying in the PC and the Xbox side of things. I think it's a good look as far as an ecosystem is concerned. And I'm a student again, so I'm going to get a discount. I might as well.
Fair enough. Why not?
I mean, the Xbox One S does look fantastic. It no longer looks like a Betamax player, which is fantastic. That's the first improvement. It looks like it's going to be running quieter. It looks like it's going to be running more efficiently, so the power bill won't be astronomical when it slides through the door. It looks great. Sony's PS3, the original one.
The Fat Boy.
Oh, I hated it. I hated the way it looked.
Okay, so they
came out.
I think the thing I hated the most about the original PS3 was that fucking font, but that's because they were riding off Spider-Man. So
yeah. It definitely was a cheap rip from what they were doing with Spider-Man. But
I mean, they had their own Spider-Man. What are you gonna do? Can you blame them?
It's
synergy, corporate synergy. I told you about this.
Yes, you did. It's all a bunch of singularity. So,
but the PS3 Slim.
Yes.
That was nice.
I had the crimson one.
Ooh.
Yeah, and when I tell you that it is sex in a box, it's sex in a box. I mean, when people look at it, they're just like, "Oh, what's that?" And it doesn't even matter whether they're gamers or not. It is just a striking bit of tech, and I really, really enjoyed the PS3 Slim redesign. Bit sad that they got rid of the thing that I did like about the Fat Boy. Apart from the multitude of different versions that may or may not have had the emotion engine included in it, which is another mess entirely that we'll get into another day. But
maybe, or just never.
Or never. The thing that I did like about the Fat Boy version was the fact that there was no actual physical buttons to push. It was all very touch. It was all heat, haptic, pressure sensitive. And I thought that was absolutely marvelous. I thought that is how you do it. In terms of trying to push these things, because physical buttons with today's tech, no one's got time. It's all touchscreen now, so
exactly. The capacitive button is
it.
But I mean, the thing is, people were complaining about the capacitive button on the Xbox One.
Yeah, they were complaining about it, which hence the redesign. So I'm keen to see how that performs. But based off of the demonstrations that I've seen, I think the Xbox One S is going to be a good look. Which brings me to the PS4. Now,
I don't like any of the designs of the PS4.
No, none of them. It looks like a drunk trapezoid. Like, it's terrible.
It is a trapezoid.
It's a drunk one because it's at a slant, though. Because clearly, somebody at Sony decided to break out a bottle of Jack Daniels. Great decision as far as alcohol is concerned. Not so great when you're trying to design a piece of tech.
Well, I mean, okay, here's the thing. Right. Again, devil's advocate.
Alright.
Because I was pretty sure, look, my name is Sid, devil's advocate Ahmed. Alright. That's just how I'm known now.
That is your wave.
Pretty sure, like, if we ever develop some kind of fan base on this podcast, they're just going to be like, you know what? Sid's just that guy that sticks up for... He is Hail Corporate. That's what my name is. Sid Hail Corporate Ahmed. That's what my fucking name is. Sidstein Chapel. Just like the Vatican in real life, he funds these motherfuckers. He supports them. Anyway, devil's advocate again.
Go on.
How many different ways can you really make a black box?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, there are a lot of ways to make a black box. All right. However, at the end of the day, we are in the age of tech. The previous ages of tech that we've had. I mean, best example is phones, really. Prior to the iPhone, we had some really cool looking phones. Yeah, all of those Nokias. Holy shit.
Yeah, Nokia's still, for me, Nokia and Motorola are still 1 and 2 in terms of just phone design. Like,
yeah, I mean, like the Motorola Razr, that was pretty fucking cool. That phone that thin, and you just flip it.
Everybody wanted one. Everyone.
Listen, right? When you walked into school and you had that in your hand. Listen, mate. I went to an all-boys school and I still got all the girls.
Listen, when you pulled out the razor on the high street, everybody thought that you were you were it, like you were that dude, like you had it like that. So
I mean, not just that, but do you remember the Nokia 6810, the one from the original Matrix?
Oh, listen.
You press that button down. I'm in. That's it. It's done. It's over.
It's over. Everybody's like, I want to be that guy's friend. Or exactly. I want to be that girl's friend. Because if you had one of them, that was it. Like, just the aesthetic alone. And, more importantly, the function followed the form. So.
Yeah. But I mean, just quickly, I'm going to pull it back to 1999. The Nokia 5510. When you were the one guy on the school bus, and the only guy on the school bus, with the Nokia 5510, with the first version of Snake, you were a god amongst men.
You were that dude. Like,
Can I play on your phone? That was the question. I think my first phone was the Nokia 7610, which was the very first phone that ever had a camera. And it had a color screen. It was the first phone with a color screen and a camera. And it was a slide up and down one, so you had the Matrix feel. You were the only one able to take pictures. And you had a color screen, and you had Snake 2.
Okay.
Levels. I was the G.
So my first phone, I was 15, and my mum said that I couldn't have one until I got my first job. So I got a part-time job at McDonald's while I was still going to school at the time. Something that's quite common when you're in the States. By the time you turn about 14, 15, you can start working on yourself. A bit of pocket change here and there, which is only really going to be spent on all the illicit things ever. Now, I got my phone, and she surprised me with one. My first one was a Ericsson. Now, I can't remember the actual model of it, which is a bit sad, but it was that long ago. I'm 30 now. You will deal. So, as far as I'm concerned, everybody had Nokias, and I had an Ericsson. Now, it was shiny. It was silver, so I had that going for me, but it wasn't small as the Nokia. Was it 3310?
Yeah, the 3310 was the unstoppable force.
Yeah, the one that has never ever been destroyed in the history of history. Yeah, still works to this day. By the way,
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is it the little one?
Not the one with the flip out bit. That's the T28. It was like one of the car phones, but a lot more smaller than that.
Okay.
God, what was it? It will be here all day. But anyway, that was my first one. But yes, when we're talking about bringing it back to the point.
Back to the point. Back to the point I was making. Okay. How many ways can you make a big black box?
How many ways can you make a big black box?
So, this tech has to house a CPU, well, in this particular case, an APU.
Yes.
Has to house RAM.
Yes.
Power unit.
Optical drive.
Optical drive, in this case a Blu-ray drive, which gets quite hot because it runs so slow.
There you go.
It's got to house Bluetooth, it's got to house Ethernet, it's got to have a network adapter, it's got to house the logic board, and all the other things that go inside it to make it. Correct. Now, all of this shit also has to stay, including the power supply, because they don't like the fact that no one wants to have a power break outside of your fucking box. That's just stupid. So all of that has to go inside of this box. Now, the smallest you can make it, technically speaking, is the size that we have of the Xbox One S or the PS4 Slim. All of that tech. Now, and then on top of that, there's no it's not like in a PC where you can stick on a fucking water cooling radiator or, like a Hyper 212 Evo fucking massive ass fan on top of it. Then to cool it and then overclock it to whatever. You are limited to this space because as a consumer, again, I've got my big 4K TV on my new IKEA little table. All right, I got 6 slots in my little table desk, my TV desk thing, and I got to put in my Blu-ray player, which I'm never going to turn on because I bought a PS4. I got to put in my fucking VCR player because Mum comes round every now and then, and I got to play those every now and then. And this is the only one that has a fucking HDMI cables that I can plug into my 4K TV.
Man said VCR.
Yeah. I got all this other shit that I gotta plug in, right? And I like the way that my thing looks. Now, a black box fits in with everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, like the Xbox One is is the definition of just fucking do it. Just keep it as a black box. And fuck off.
Microsoft gave no fucks about that. I mean, they
found the first fucking black box they saw and said, okay, does it fit everything? Good. Sell it.
Sell it. I mean, they also, I think, personally, kind of saw how everybody's cable boxes and set-top boxes, from your Sky Plus HD boxes to...
Oh yeah, I forgot all about those.
Your TiVos to... And if you're looking at American counterparts, then you've got, your Time Warner box, you've got your Dish Network box, you've got all that sort of stuff. They looked at that and they said, you know what? What if we just made something to where it looks like what they've got already and they can get rid of all the rest of that extracurricular shit? So,
I mean, they're not, all the stuff, even like your modem's like a little black box.
Your modem's a little black box, yes.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin the flow of someone's fucking life.
Absolutely not. And Microsoft deserves at least some sort of commendable credit for thinking about everybody's feng shui. Like, they really looked into that. And I will give them that. But it does not take away from the fact that the damn thing looks like a Betamax player. I make no apology.
Well, I mean, that's technically the same with the PS4 because it's matte black and you just stick it in your thing and that's it. Once you put it inside your little shelf, you're never going to see it.
Sony, I think, just kind of panicked at the last minute because I thought that they had the same idea that Microsoft did. So they decided, you know what, we need to make this look different. Let's kick this thing in the face. Let's just kick it in the face and see what happens.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because, I mean, back to the point of, interesting design. Like, the NES and the SNES were interesting designs. They were very different from what you had at your TV anyway. So, the Dreamcast was a very different looking device. The PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 2 could go vertically, like, holy shit, that was... What the fuck? You could turn it that way?
That was revolutionary.
Yeah, I mean, all he did was fucking rotate it, for fuck's sake. It's revolution.
I mean, really quickly, if we're going to talk about really good console design, then we have to include the GameCube. We just do.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. That era was at the same time that those cool-ass phones were there.
Yes.
Right? Like, the Fat Boy was a very interesting design because no one had really done that weird curve and you had box underneath and then you had this another layer on top which was the thick ass curve, and then obviously the PS3 slimmed it down later.
BlackBerry was doing their thing back then as well.
So all of these, that age of interesting design is gone now, and everyone's going with this, I don't want to say minimalism because technically it is, but technically it isn't.
Yeah.
Where our phones are literally black rectangles because at the end of the day they have to serve this one function, which is house that screen. And that's it.
Yeah.
The function of a console is to house that disk or that hard drive, in our case now, house the hard drive and the parts, and don't let it ruin the aesthetic of someone's house. Because, obviously, like, for some of us, the idea of having, a cool, like, if there was a PS4 that I would buy, it would be the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain one, because that maroon and gold look, that's me. That's me. But
I do like that one. I do. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't they make a Destiny edition one as well?
Yeah, I mean, every major game they have a version.
I don't like Destiny. I thought Destiny was really disappointing in its final form. I was more excited about it when I saw it demonstrated at Gamescom 2013, and we talked about this before. But I tell you one thing that was great about Destiny. It gave us that limited edition PS4, and it was white, and it had that blue glow around it, and I was like, oh yes.
Actually, you know what? Wait. The only other PS4 that I would get would be the 25th anniversary.
25th anniversary edition one? Yes,
Holy
sir.
shit.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Mate, that is one ugly looking grey, but fuck it, I want it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that the colour way is disgusting, but it is strangely alluring. Hold on a second. I need to take another look at it again. Because whenever somebody mentions it, I'm reminded about how much I wanted it. PlayStation 4 25th anniversary?
Yeah.
Yes. Give me that picture. Bam! There it is. Look at it. Look, that grey is disgusting.
It's a terrible grey.
It is a terrible
That was
grey.
the grey.
That's it. That was it. That was the one. That was the same one from the PlayStation, the PSX.
And I want it.
I do. And the thing about it is that I don't know why I don't like it, because I love the way that the PSX looked when it came out back then.
Exactly. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that would completely ruin the feng shui of my room.
Oh yeah.
But
there'd be no flow whatsoever. Like, I've got a black PC. I've got a black Wii U downstairs. All black in terms of the keyboard. There's a bit of grey on the mouse that I'm using. It's a Logitech G something or other. I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's the only really bits of grey there, but it's very minimal. Black monitor, grey PS4.
Exactly. Completely ruins the feng shui. But damn it, I mean, I would have it as more of an art piece than anything else.
Yeah, it's probably got to go on the wall somewhere.
But I mean, back to the point. Devil's advocate, the point was, how many different ways can you make a black box? And it's got to fit in with the average consumer, which wants their big thin bezel TV and all their boxes in those shelves, or however they lay out their boxes in a way that doesn't intrude, because that's what it is. Because we're in an age of, when it comes to product design, don't intrude. Like, our phones are all black and rectangular. All our others, our consoles and our peripherals, they're just blacking out the way, because it's everything else that matters, the content itself.
Yes. Okay. Here's where I stand on the whole console redesign thing, at least where this generation is concerned, and then we'll wrap this section up and we'll close with the last one. All right.
Yeah.
All that we've detailed in terms of great examples of console redesigns, or at least just console design from the off. All right. Great one-offs in the Dreamcast and the GameCube. Great one-offs in even the original inception of the Xbox and the PS2. To be fair, I mean, they were massive, but they were striking. So you can get away with that. This generation seems to have lost its way, because when you look at what's being offered in the Xbox One S and the PS4 Pro, you really do scratch your head and you wonder, could this not have been done the first time around? And the reason why, personally, I wonder why this couldn't have been done the first time around is because, really and truly, there isn't too much more technically going on under the hood than what was going on in the original incarnation, and they've managed to make it smaller. So they have put some research and development into this. But if you asked me, or if you told me that this was coming 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years this November, that this was going to happen, I'm fairly certain that we would have had the same reaction to this that we would have had all those years prior. I just don't see any real striking difference apart from the way that it looks. And even the way that it looks, even when I consider the Xbox One S, it still looks quite a bit like the original Xbox One. And the same can be said about the PS4 as well. The thing about the PS4 is that it doesn't look entirely dissimilar to the PS4 Pro, except the fact that there's this massive ridge that has come on the top of it. As you so correctly pointed out, it looks like, it looks like a PS4 Slim taped on top of an original PS4. That is precisely what it looks like. I was pretty much in agreement with the person that said it looked like two PS4 Slims taped together. To be fairly honest with you, if we're being really real here, it does look like a PS4 taped on top of it. I mean, the thing is just... There's like a pointless ridge there now. There was just one before. Now there's two. Why are there two?
Well, I mean...
Why do you need this?
Okay,
I don't...
Okay, main reasons. One, they need to differentiate it. So having the extra ridge says, one more layer.
This is just ridiculous.
But I mean, the reason... Okay, I mean, back to the point that you made a bit earlier, which was... the reason as to why they didn't do this before is profit margins. The PS4 and the Xbox One were not made for consumers.
They really weren't.
They were made strictly for profit margins because Sony needed.
But they sold it. But they sold it like Microsoft. They sold both of these things at a loss to start with, just like they did with their prior consoles in the 360 and the PS3, respectively.
But I mean, the PS3 and the Xbox 360 had been out for nearly a decade.
Yes, but they didn't.
That's a very long time. That's a very long console generation.
They didn't start turning over a profit. Well, the Xbox 360 didn't start turning over a profit until about maybe 2 years in. For the PS3, it was even longer. I think it was like 3.5 years.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, that was a ridiculously expensive console. And
it was terribly expensive.
But it's down to the fact that Sony are, they're bleeding money, or they've sold off fucking Vio, they've sold off this division, that division, and everything is just,
They are chopping and changing. Let's not forget about the amount of jobs they've had to cut as well. So.
Exactly. No, I mean, all of that crap, they still need that to make that moolah. And they needed something else. I mean, when you have... Okay, I mean, it's the cycle of any kind of product, really. The PS3 would continuously still make money, and people would still make games for it. It's still a great console. I mean, they still haven't fully maxed out the architecture of Cell, because I don't think anyone ever will. That's like a alien technology right there. But the problem is that they were stagnating. It's the value in the hearts and minds of people is what gives them the urge to spend money. Like when I see Amazon now have Prime Now in my area, holy shit, I want to spend money on shit that I don't need. When, and same with like the Amazon Dash, I kind of want to have a button that says, here, have some parcel fucking show up at your house in half an hour. That kind of stuff. So when it's PR, essentially, at the end of the day. They didn't need to make a new console except for that they needed money. And how do they make themselves important and relevant again? Announcing this big thing, building that hype train. It's the same with all things. I mean, even with the game that shall not be named, everything is based on a hype train. So you have, the announcement comes, you do the thing, and that builds up and builds up and builds up. It makes you important. It builds up pre-orders, it makes sales, and it continues on for. Now, after 3 years, the PS4 and the Xbox One have stagnated because they are obsolete technologies. How do you continue selling those? Refresh. Give it a refresh. It's not much else. It's going to cost exactly the same as it did before to make. It's nothing different. It has a little bit of corporate synergy. You've got Windows and Xbox working together. You've got Bravia TVs selling 4K, and you've got your 4K video streams on your PS4 Pro. Still don't know why it's called a Pro. All of that shit just all comes together in a nice, neat package, and it builds up the hype. I mean, the hype it's alone for the PS4 Neo was ridiculous. People have been talking about it for over a year. And now that it's out, they're going to buy it anyway. Regardless of what anyone says, that's still going to sell.
Okay. I will. Okay.
Again,
yes.
I mean, back to the title, shady people doing some shady shit.
Well, this is it. I just don't see the justification for either. If you don't already have a PS4 and Xbox One, these redesigns are right up your alley. Unfortunately, they're continuing to sell the predecessing models. I know Microsoft is anyway. I know that there is a Quantum Break bundle that they are doing here, which is like starting at $199. It comes with Quantum Break and Alan Wake, but it's the original Xbox One.
Terrible bundle.
Not the redesign. Look, Quantum Break looks good. Alan Wake was absolutely one of the best games of the last generation, in my opinion. And I'm really looking forward to finishing up what I started. But I'm going to have to start again on PC because I don't have a 360 anymore. So, go figure. But Remedy, for all intents and purposes, they made the original 2 Max Paynes, if I'm not mistaken, before Rockstar made the 3rd. Rockstar...
I cannot deny nor confirm.
Games. Real quick. Yes, they did. They made Max Payne and the Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max. And then they had not made...
just quickly, because I mean we've crossed like the 2-hour mark now.
We really have.
But I mean,
so thank you very much for sticking with us.
The fact that the Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, literally ends with Max Payne falling is the best part of the game.
Can we talk? We don't have enough time. We're gonna have. But my God.
Like when it was first announced, right?
Yes.
Me and my friends at school were like, oh my God, we're so hyped for Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. And we were joking, oh yeah, he's just going to fall at the end. And he actually just falls. He just falls down.
He really does, but he really does. And no one complained about it. We said, yes, this is going to be a thing.
I'm installing that shit right now.
Oh man. By the way, Max Payne 3, great game.
I never got around to it.
Oh, but please do it.
Mate, Max Payne 2, I'm playing that shit right now. You know what? That's where we're going to end the episode.
And you know what? That's precisely it.
You know what? I'm just playing some Max Payne 2.
You know what? I'm going to second this, and I'm just playing. Actually, no, I've got too much to get into. You do you. I'm actually going to get into the Castle of Illusion, which you can't get anymore because they're taking it down from Steam. So if you don't have it, tough cookies. Anyway, thanks for sticking with us. We'll see you next week.